William Howard Taft, former president and also Supreme Court justice, once said, "Presidents come and go, but the Supreme Court continues on forever." Every day our lives are affected by our government. Whether you like it or not, it still happens. But the most underrated branch of our government is also the one that has the most impact on our lives, even though we may not know it. Now, from racial relations to LGBTQ rights, to the little thing in the corner that no one really cares about called economics, and even produce identity. Yeah, I said produce identity. Back in the 1880s, the Supreme Court heard a case that regarded whether or not tomatoes were fruits or vegetables. And if you didn't know that, by the Supreme Court standard, tomatoes are vegetables. So you might be wrong. By definition, they are considered fruits, but on the other side, the Supreme Court said that they are spiritually vegetables. But other than that, every single day we are affected by the Supreme Court and the rulings. And I'm going to be showing you 3 different points as to how the Supreme Court influences our everyday lives. Now, the first one that we're going to be talking about, I skipped the tomato part, that's tomato by the way. The first one I'm going to be talking about is Marbury versus Madison. How many people have heard of this Supreme Court case? All right, this case involved the principle of judicial review. Now, to understand what Marbury versus Madison is, we have to dive into what it specifically is about. PBS.org, authored by Alex McBride in 2006, Alex McBride being the main editor at Tulane Law Review and is a third-year law school student, said that Marbury versus Madison is arguably the most important case in United States Supreme Court history. Now, Marbury versus Madison was specifically about Marbury on the left suing James Madison on the right to issue a commission by the writ of mandamus. He latched on to Section 13 of the Judiciary Act of 1789 that ordered the Supreme Court to issue a writ of mandamus, which is a required action for a public official to issue that commission back to Marbury. The Supreme Court heard the case, and the Supreme Court struck down the Judiciary Act of 1789 regarding Section 13 because it asked for the Supreme Court to extend past its Article 3 granted powers. This established what's known as judicial review. Judicial review is the power for the Supreme Court to strike down any action created by the legislative or executive branch. It made its influence relevant, which has consequently added to the influence that the Supreme Court has had over the years. John Marshall, the Chief Justice at the time, once said that if you cannot say no to the legislator, then you have a parliament. The next case I'm going to be talking about is Miranda v. Arizona. This is Ernesto Miranda. Now, who here has heard about Miranda rights? Many may not know where they specifically come from. Miranda v. Arizona involved Miranda specifically sexually assaulting a woman. Now, from C-SPAN, the main website for congressional information, last updated in 2017, said that Miranda was, after sexually assaulted him, sexually assaulted a woman, was then interrogated, and then made to sign a confession where it stated that he knew his rights, even though he didn't. Now, his attorneys argued in front of the Supreme Court that Miranda didn't know his rights, and therefore his confession should be inadmissible in the court of law and the evidence. And therefore, after that, the Supreme Court agreed. Today, you see in TV shows, movies, if you've seen 21 Jump Street in the very beginning, it mentions the Miranda rights, and the guy got off loose because Jonah Hill just kind of kicked him in the face. And, yeah, you know what? But we hear all the time. But it's because of a result of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court enforcing an act upon all police stations to inform every civilian of your rights before you are interrogated. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is Dred Scott v. Sandford. Now, many may know that this is a stepping stone into the degradation of racial rights, and that's true. Dred Scott, according to USHistory.org in 2008, was a case that was arguably the worst decision in Supreme Court history. Dred Scott was a man that lived in Missouri. Now, there was something called a Missouri Compromise at the time that was passed by the legislature that said if you live in a free state, and it bans certain individual acts of slavery in certain states, and if you live in that state, then slaves are therefore citizens and free. He lived in Missouri, which was a slave state at the time. His slave owner, Sanford, took him along with him to Minnesota, which was a free state. Lived there for 3 years. Dred Scott went back in time, went back after those 3 years to Missouri, and when the slave owner took him with him, and then became a slave again. Dred Scott sued his slave owner, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court arguably made the worst decision in Supreme Court history. From ushistory.org, the reasons why the Supreme Court said that Dred Scott was still a slave was because that black people were originally a part of the sovereign people that signed the Constitution, therefore did not have the right to sue a white person. Another reason they gave is that the legislator didn't have the power to ban slavery. That was upon the states, which we found out 30 years later after Dred Scott that the legislator did indeed have that right to ban slavery. Now, we've heard from the past two instances that the Supreme Court has much influence, but doesn't mean that they use it wrong sometimes. So you have to vote for your presidents and vote for the people that are going to be upholding your values, because the Supreme Court is indeed the most influential branch of government and impacts our day-to-day lives. And if you truly believe that tomatoes should be fruits, take it up to the Supreme Court.